Hi, my name's Christine and I'm an artist, and I'm in my studio today where I've got a lot of work from St Mary's Primary School in Morecambe. I've put some on the wall behind me for you to have a look at, and they're absolutely beautiful. So I've also got a bundle here that's tied up with this lovely yellow ribbon. So let's have a look and see what's inside. These are absolutely beautiful. There's lots of colours and textures and patterns, and they're all about Morecambe seafront. So they've got lots of different things in them. They've got the clock tower, the sand, the sea, the sky. Absolutely lovely, and these are done from above. So these are taken from aerial photographs from the sky. So that makes them really interesting. So these have inspired me today to look at an artist and do some work in my studio. So I thought we'd have a look at an artist called Hundertwasser. And he did lots of different patterns too. There's some very interesting colours and designs. So if you have a look at this one here, it's very similar in some ways and very interesting. And he also used some gold paint too, which we could have a go at using as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some work in my studio, and we're going to look at using transfer paints and collage and inks, and then we're going to use some stitch as well. So let's see what this looks like. So the first thing to do is to select the area that I want to transfer. So you can move it around and see which area you think might work best. And I'd like to have this design on it somewhere. And I also want to have some of the yellow to represent the sand. So I'm going to lay this down about here. And then once I've chosen that area, and it is a bit potluck, but that's half the fun of it really, the next thing I'm going to do is mask off around the outside. And this is just to stop it from going onto the iron really, it just makes it a little bit easier. But you do have to be careful with this because the papers do move around a bit, but it just helps a little bit. So once you've laid those papers down, then you're ready to start ironing it. And just as we did before, you've got your very hot iron and you're going to carefully run this over the top. So remembering that it's the heat that transfers the design onto the paper. So it's not about how quickly you move it, although you do want to keep moving it across the surface. It's really about the heat, so making sure that you get all the outside edges, all the corners, make sure you include all of those. And then when you've done this for a few moments, then just lift your iron up, hold it down, put your thumb in one corner and just lift up the corner to see if it's starting to transfer. And it is very hot, so you do need to be careful. And it's starting to transfer onto the paper, or card in this case. So you need to do this again until it's actually transferred onto the card completely. It does get very hot, so you do need to be very, very careful when doing this. It does sometimes take a little bit longer because this time we're transferring onto paper or card instead of fabric, and because it's thicker it takes a little bit longer to transfer, but the results are really nice too, and they're quite subtle as well. So again, be very careful. If it's too hot to touch, just wait for a moment, or you could put something else on top of it, like your paper towel. So if we place that over the top, just to protect our fingers, and then lift this up, and you can see the design is starting to transfer, but you can see the areas where I need a bit more heat as well. So I'm going to lift this up. I might need to move these back in place a little bit. And it's really all that is to stop it from going onto the iron. Although I'm actually using a very old iron, so it doesn't matter. The iron that I use is just for artwork. It's not for ironing my clothes, so that's okay. So we'll keep moving this backwards and forwards just for a little while longer until we get the desired effect. It doesn't have to be really dark, it can be quite subtle in colours if you want it to be, because we're going to add other things to it as well. And we're also going to look at using stitch. So let's have another look at this now, and hopefully we've got the desired effect. So I'm going to place my paper towel over the top again so I can have a look, and that's looking really quite nice now, I think, too. So it is very subtle, but I think we've got enough there to work with, so you can see the design coming through. You could do it for a bit longer though if you wanted to. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move all of this out of the way. I'll just keep the paper towel in case I need it. I'll move that out of the way so that I've got some space in front of me. And this time I'm going to look at using my inks. So I might use the inks to bring back some of the lines and add a bit of detail. So I've got a nice purple colour here. And just be careful that you don't have too much on there, but you can actually work this into your design. So you can use the end of your brush to create lines. You can use the side of your brush as well. So you can create some nice detail in there as well. Okay. So you're going to keep doing this until you feel you're happy with it and you've got the desired effect. So I'm going to just change my colours over. So this is where the paper towel is very useful. And this time I'm going to try some of this blue here. I'm just going to work into this and add some detail and colours and bring back some of the stronger colours that make it really interesting. So I've kept with some of the same colours, but you can use whichever colours you want to use. And we might add in a bit of gold as well, like Hundertwasser did. So what we don't want to do is colour in all of it, we just want to colour in some of it to add, as I say, bring that detail back in. And just play around with it really until you've got the desired effect. So we've got a bit of yellow now, so let's bring the yellow in down here. And you can mix these colours together a little bit too. Add some down the side. And just keep going until you feel like you've done enough. And then when you've done enough, then we're going to add the words. So I'm going to leave mine there. I could add a bit more, but I'm going to leave it there for the moment. And I've got some words here that I'm going to add to mine. So I'm going to choose which ones I want to use, and I think I'm going to go with Seaside Cafe, Promenade, and maybe the Clock Tower. You don't want all of them, I've got quite a lot here, so you might not want all of these, just some of them to make it more interesting. And then I'm going to decide where I want to put them. So I might move them around. They might be a little bit big, so this is where the scissors come in very useful. So I can just cut those down to make them smaller. And I might just collage that in. So the funfair might be along the front here. So I might put this one in here somewhere. Okay. And then we've got the promenade too. So that's where everybody walks, isn't it? So we might have this one just along here too. So it's just to represent where places might be. So I'm going to trim all these down so that they fit a lot better. Okay, so we'll put the clock tower in there, and then we've got the Seaside Cafe as well. So where should we put the Seaside Cafe? Maybe we'll put the Seaside Cafe over here. So when you feel you've got enough words and they're in the right places, then you're just going to glue them down with your Pritt stick. And sometimes it's easier just to actually rub these along the top of the Pritt stick and then add them in here. And we'll do the same for all of these. And the clock tower as well. And the Seaside Cafe until you feel you've got enough. So at this stage you can add a bit more ink if you want to. We could add our gold paint if we want to, so I might add a bit of gold paint later as well. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at stitching into these to make them even more interesting. Using transfer paints and inks and collage and even some stitch as well on the sewing machine. Shall we have a look at the results? So this is my postcard that I finished, and I'm so excited to show you. You can do as much stitch and collage and painting with the inks as you want to, and see what happens, see where it takes you. And I've even put the postcard on the back. So have fun with that and enjoy. I've really enjoyed working with the work from St Mary's Primary School. I hope you have too.